This chapter is over an hour and 16 minutes long, but I do think it's interesting as speculation. So I'm going to go ahead and do it. I won't put a whole bunch of comments on it, but I will point out things that are similar so that maybe it might make some sense. But there won't be any other comments. Okay. Anyway, Kolbrin Bible, Book 5, Chapter 34. It seems to cover the whole 18th dynasty. And the 18th dynasty is classified as the first dynasty of the New Kingdom period. It boasts several of Egypt's most famous pharaohs, including Tutankhamun, the Thutmose dynasty for the 4 pharaohs named Thutmose. Its famous pharaohs of that dynasty include Hatshepsut, Akhenaten, his queen Nefertiti, and then there was King Nefertiti, which I assume they believe is the iconic Queen Nefertiti. MAN 3440. I will go back to when the father of Nabaton, a man of great valor, much beloved by the people, became feeble through a wound that troubled him in his old age. It was then that his queen, the noble Tawi, priestess of the faithful, urged him to send for the young prince. Nabaton, though he was not then so called, to become his staff and take up some of the burden. In this manner it was hoped to secure the throne of Egypt once more for one of the faithful, an end towards which the faithful had long labored. MAN 3441. Undoubtedly, the enlightened ones and the chosen ones from among the faithful played some part in the introduction of the new form of worship, but unfortunately they were not equal to the opportunities of the times. And this is an instance when too much concern with spirituality, too little interest and involvement in mortal affairs, can prove a fatal handicap. The lesson to be learned from this, the whole purpose of its telling, is that at all times a good balance must be maintained between spirituality and earthly existence. However great the spiritual goal ahead, nevertheless, at present, our feet are firmly bound to earth. Whatever the eyes behold, it must not blind men to the pitfalls before their feet. To say, as many have, that the new form of worship clashed with the old established worship of Amun is true, in part only. The hopes of the faithful were nurtured in both, and could have been a reconciling force, weak in power and numbers though it might have been. Superficially, and among the mass of lesser priests and followers in the two beliefs, there was antagonism and strife. While the flame of Aton waned, the sun of the new form of worship rose. But it was the popularity of Queen Tawi among the people, her wisdom and insight, that enabled the young prince to maintain his place at the king's right hand and share the royal symbols, despite hostility by the priests of Amun. Had he dutifully followed the path of the true way, all would have been well. Perhaps, and this seems more likely, he did not quite understand it. Probably his intentions were good, but good intent is not sufficient. Good intent is nullified by lack of wisdom and knowledge, and confounded unless supported by example and deeds. It is not sufficient for a man to proclaim a way of life for others unless he lives according to its principles himself. Too often have men tried to direct others along a path they are reluctant to tread themselves. This is not the least of hypocrisies. MAN 3442. When his father died, the young king, Nabaton, ruled in equality with his mother. They shared the royal seat and symbols, but he acted in a manner unbefitting his son. He inclined away from the high-born ladies of royal blood. His interests were not those of a pharaoh, and this caused the hearts of those who opposed him to rise in hope. It also isolated him from the faithful who would have been his most ardent supporters, though their loyalty remained with the queen.